Hi all, so today we're going to be talking about the AR-100. It's NSO's default AR, and it's a gun. It's one of the assault rifles in the game. So the AR-100 is fine, it has good recoil control, that's about it. It has good recoil control, which is cool, but it has such low damage output, and it doesn't bring any unique gimmicks to the table to make it actually worth using over other ARs. Or rather, the one other AR on NSO that's actually worth using, the NS11A, which is the gun we're going to spend pretty much most of this video comparing it to because it's the best comparison tool. So the AR-100 is a 667-143 AR. This is low. This is some of the lowest in class in terms of raw damage output. It does keep 143 damage out to 15 meters, which is cool, but as you'll see with the NS11A, this isn't a trait you're really going to notice because it's hard. You're not going to be able to notice the difference between 10 meters and 15 meters that much. It will help you if you're, like, chain headshotting. But, actually, it wouldn't even help you if you're chain headshotting because 125 is the same. Okay, if you're a body shot legend, I guess this will help you. Otherwise, nobody gives a shit. Muzzle velocity is fine at 550. Reload speed is actually quite quick on both short and long. And you get pretty standard ammunition and accuracy stats. So, like I said, we're going to compare this to the AR that's actually worth using, the NS11A. So, the NS11A, basically the trait is the NS11A has slightly lower rate of fire, and slightly less max damage range in exchange for only dropping to 125, meaning it is a 4 headshot kill at all ranges. It has higher velocity, and it has a slightly bigger magazine. It also has slightly better hipfire stats, but you're not hipfiring with an AR too often unless it's like one of the actual CQC ones. So, the NS11A also has 0.75 ADS, meaning that despite its low damage output, it is a consistent 4 headshot kill, no matter what. You get 0.75 ADS, and you get a very high muzzle velocity, meaning it is actually a very good AR if you can aim. The AR-100, on the other hand, you don't get a 4 headshot kill at all ranges, you don't get 0.75 ADS, in exchange for 15 rounds per minute. It's not that good. So, for attachments, you can't compete at long range because your damage model just kind of sucks, and you can't compete at close range because you don't have enough damage output. So, I ended up opting for a 1x, a compensator, a grip, and soft point. Ultimately, this is probably the only real way to build this gun, because it is very reliant on headshots to stay competitive, or positioning, and like I already said, you just can't hipfire build these kinds of assault rifles. I'm just going to keep calling it a carbine because I want to play LA instead. I mean, I guess if you wanted to run like a main build, you could run like short and laser, but then you're just going to be suffering and wishing you were using like any other gun in the entire game. The angled grip is useless because it doesn't have vertical recoil anyway. High velocity it's fine, but having 20 meters of 143 range, if you're a big scope and body shotter, is handy. But honestly, the ammo choice doesn't really matter here. You can run soft point because it's like the safe option, but ammo options are just not that important on the AR-100. It's just not particularly relevant. So now, there are 3.5 minutes or so left of Connery, left of Indar, until it closes, so hopefully I can actually get some footage with this gun in that time, because I do not want to fly to wherever the first con is going to be on the next map, because knowing my luck, it's probably going to be Esmir, and I'm going to kill myself. So, like I said, AR-100, not that good. Very reliant on headshot. Yes, the recoil control is very good. It is very low recoil. It is, you know, very convenient this way. And for someone like me who traditionally likes low recoil guns because I value precision and range over raw damage output, this would be very cool. Unfortunately, because it is not named the NS11A, it doesn't bring any gimmicks to it that make it still viable over another option. There's no world in which I would actually rather bring an AR-100 than an NS11A. It's a decent starter gun, but ultimately you should shelve it for the NS11A if you actually play Medic, and honestly, even if you don't play Medic, you should probably just get the NS11A anyway, because it's that good. Especially compared to the other options for NSO ARs, which are the N203, which is hot dog shit. In theory it's cool, but in reality it's just hot dog shit. And the AR-101, which actually manages to be even worse than the AR-100, and I would even call the AR-101 worse than the Yumi. So you basically only have 2 real assault rifle options on NSO. One is your default AR-100, and one is the NS11A. The NS11A completely outdoes it. So basically, the AR-100 just isn't good. it falls into the same problems that the other NSO guns have, where the devs are like, oh, we'll give it far damage drop-off and good recoil control to make up for the fact that it has no damage output overall. And yeah, this is cool, but the problem is, time to kill matters a lot in this game. A lot of guns are either good or not good, based solely on their damage models. And if they have a low damage model, they need very, very good stats otherwise to actually make them good. Take the T5AMC, for example, which is a gun I notoriously quite despise, but is actually still quite good despite having a 652 at 143 model, which is very bad. But it gains pretty much all of the best stats in class otherwise, apart from that damage model, in order to make it stay relevant. That's my point here. For a gun to have such a low damage model, it needs to bring some other trait to the table to make it viable. The NS guns, like the nanosystems weapons, usually bring 0.75 ADS and high velocities to them, as well as easy to control recoil, which makes them, you know, actually still pretty good, despite having low damage output. The T5AMC brings really good soft stats, pretty much best-in-class stats, to remain good despite its damage model. There are other examples here, but that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. You need something special or particularly noteworthy about your gun for it to shine, even if it has a bad damage model. And unfortunately, the AR-100 just... well, it just doesn't have one. Yeah, it works. It's a fine AR. But unless you're going for directives, there's no reason to not just use the NS11A instead. In fact, even if you bought both the black and the gold NS11A, I would still advise doing the AR-100 as your last AR, or one of your two other ARs, because the N203 and AR-101 are both that bad, and you're going to have to pick one to suffer with anyway. So even if you end up buying all of the ARs, all of the NS11A reskins, just to try and skip something on the directive, you're still going to have to rack some the AR-100 anyway. Luckily, I'm fairly reliably informed that the Maxwell, the directive reward, is actually pretty alright, probably a B-tier assault rifle. But unfortunately, I can't, in good faith, actively recommend the AR-100, and if you're playing NSO, there's a good chance you're already a veteran player who's bought some guns with favorite cash, in which case, you probably already have an NS11A, or a variant of the NS11A, that I would just use instead. It's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's just kinda... it's kinda shit. It's not horrible, it's just shitty. I know that makes no sense, but the point is, it's just outclassed. That might be a better term to describe it. There's pretty much no reason to pick up the AR-100, apart from the fact that it's your default gun, when the NS11A just does everything it does better. And given how tragic the AR-101 and N203 are, I hope you like the NS11A, because you're probably going to be using it a lot. Luckily, there's a whole bunch of them, so you should be able to get your hands on one fairly easily, so you don't have to use this gun. Unless you're going for directives, in which case, I pity you. Thank you, and I will hopefully see you again soon for the directive video, for the summer directive, because I need to get that finished, and Connery stinks.